Okay, for those that have seen Hot D, I've seen the first 3 episodes. It is my quick take. Everything that Disney and Lucasfilm wants to emphasize about the Acolyte, the diversity, all of that. The big thing, the diversity and how progressive it is. All of that is in House of the Dragon, and no one notices. No one cares. It's so well written. These amazing, and no spoilers for the 3rd episode, but the final scene features no violence. It's literally 2 women talking in a church, and it's so dramatic when they finally realize, that each of them has a side, but it's too late to start this war. I'm not going to give details. You have to have been watching. That is such a powerful scene. 2 people talking. That's it. And it's better. That moment is better than anything we have seen in the Acolyte. For those that have seen Hot D, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
It was a great payoff because that entire conversation that creates that dramatic catharsis is all set up with the last half of the first season, and you basically have a revelation that was really well structured to basically say that this is going to be a war that cannot be stopped, but it's a war based on a false idea. And that's your dramatic irony. The fact that these 2 characters are going to be the only ones that know about this, and everybody else is going to suffer as a result.
Yeah. Who else has seen Hot D?
Yeah, I watched it. I liked it. I'm enjoying the slower, not like boring, but just slower, non-violent moments of just acting and character motivation. And they're all horrible, but I like all the characters for different reasons, like all the actors. So yeah, I still am waiting for some of the bigger moments that I've heard Gary and Ryan from RKO Post talk about. Because again, it's just the book is based on an unreliable narrator of 3 of them. And so now we're finally getting to see what really happened. So we're supposed to get some real fun things. But yeah, they're still with me. They have not lost me yet.
Yeah, same with me. I'm enjoying season 2 so far. I thought the first season was just going to be trash, and I kind of watched it to kind of roast it. But it like X-Men 97. I watched it and was like, wow, this is actually really good. And you can actually see where the money went in the show. You can't see that in Acolyte. I have no clue where that 180 million went.
Probably the last episode.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's I thought that they're doing a really good job on the show. The one thing I had a question about last night's episode, spoiler alert, when did HBO start allowing BJs on HBO? I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, how are they showing this right now?
Yeah,
it was graphic. It looked fake to me.
That's the only thing.
There's rumor that it was a doll.
It wasn't real.
But it was a bit shocking, which I think that's part of the brand of Game of Thrones, is how shocking it is. I gotta ask a question of everybody. When the title sequence starts, I never skip it. That music and that opening gets me in the mood. I have never once skipped that opening. When it's evolved, I like how it evolved in Game of Thrones. This, a tapestry being made. I just thought it was amazing. But yeah, it was shocking. That's part of what Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon are supposed to be. But it doesn't compare. Can you imagine if Lucasfilm made some kind of Star Wars with the level of seriousness of, Game of Thrones?
Oh, dude,
I was thinking about a Star Wars brothel, and I was like, I think about it all the time. Those Twi'leks. That would be great. They could totally do a lot. That's literally what I think the George Lucas is. He wrote like 50 episodes of that Underworld series that never saw the light of day, and then he sold to Disney. But yeah, it totally opens itself to being let's just say a little more realistic adult of what would actually be going on with like jug trades and red light districts on Coruscant. And yeah, the whole thing opens it up to it.
I mean, Andor makes the attempt to try and match that. I mean,
yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, I think the
obviously I'm engaged with House of the Dragon from season 1 all the way through season 2 again, because, they cared about, some fidelity to the original work. They're not trying to just send a message with their work. They're not saying, oh, we got to go, cast certain people because, they need to be in this thing. Now, I know they've done that, but the genesis of House of the Dragon is fidelity to the source material and trying to do right by what George R.R. Martin created in the first place. And if Lucasfilm cared about that, we would be getting much better Star Wars right now, but they don't. And so therefore we get to love House of the Dragon, and so I'm enjoying the series just, because I'm getting what George R.R. Martin saw as a vision for his world, for Westeros, and for this part of the story. I'm getting his vision, at least something close to his vision. And I don't feel like I'm getting anything close to what George Lucas's vision was when it comes to Disney Star Wars. And that's the main problem. It's like, same thing with Rings of Power. I didn't think I was getting J.R.R. Tolkien's vision of what Middle-earth would look like and what these stories would be like and what would have happened. And that's the big problem when you're adapting something. You should be trying to get as close to the original as humanly possible. I know it can't always be done, but you should be trying to zero in. What is it that the original creator of this thing wanted us to see? Let's get inside his mind and let's put that out there. That's not what Lucasfilm is. That's the biggest difference right now between what House of the Dragon is and what the Acolyte is.
But don't you understand? All those old creators were all racist with internalized this and that and patriarchy. And we now in 2024 understand better. And so now and that's unfortunately the mindset with every single goddamn thing they get their hands on. And it is that sheer hubris clip from Picard.
And that's the problem. Because those guys that are the racists and the bigots and the misogynists and all of that, guess what? Those guys did 20 times better at entertaining audiences than you guys ever will. And
they have life experience.
You guys, the reason you're adapting this work is because it worked. There's a lot of stuff that's out there that's written that doesn't work, that hasn't taken off and become like part of the cultural zeitgeist where people all over the world love it. All right. And the problem is that they don't want to tap into that. They want to tap into their own little personal feelings. But your own little personal feelings, nobody gives a damn about. We care about George R.R. Martin. We care about George Lucas. We care about J.R.R. Tolkien. Those are the creators that did the job. And these guys don't get it. They want to overstep their, like, stand on the cut. What do they call it? Stand on the shoulders of giants and geniuses and just spew out their nonsense. And it's like, no, that's not what we came here for. If you want to do that, if you want to put your own stuff out there, go make it. Go do something original. Go do something creative. Oh, but you can't do that, because you don't have any creativity in your heart. So that's the problem. We need creatives to come back and really start creating new worlds and let those guys, match up what they did to, try to outdo George R.R. Martin, try to outdo George Lucas and Stan Lee and J.R.R. Tolkien and all of these other great creatives. But that's not what we're getting in entertainment today. And it's sad. The only people that are doing it are out in the East. Okay. Japanese manga and anime, man. I'm telling you, those are the only guys trying to do something original and unique. And that's why the audiences in this generation are flocking in that direction.
Well, they're doing it because there's money there for them to do it. The sad part is that on the studio side of the things, the studios don't invest in high risk, independent, new, non-existing properties already. They just don't do that. They did that very infrequently, even in the 70s and 80s. Giving George Lucas the money, Alan Ladd Jr. doing that for Star Wars was a huge gamble on his part that paid off.
Right.
But again, you take a look at some other movies that came out in that decades past that also took a swing. They didn't succeed as well. I mean, it's part luck. It's also part investment. And, if Hollywood wants to save themselves and they want to actually have a renaissance of creativity, they have to start, looking at the independent sphere and investing in that stuff and bringing them in, because you need fresh blood with every generation to reinvigorate the industry. And the guys going out in the East doing that stuff, that's the best thing you can do, because if that starts to get attention, that will make them valuable. And guess what? Hollywood will actually invest and negotiate certain levels of capitulation to those creators to get their vision across. Obviously, there's always going to be a compromise when you're dealing with millions of dollars. But the thing is, if it helps reinvigorate, if it helps get people new stories, new IPs out there that isn't Harry Potter, which is like the last new big IP that we got, we need that. We need that injection.